Okay, so let's talk about the new update that's coming in. And it is a secret update, so we're going to have to kind of make a bunch of guesses, but I think we got to narrow down to a couple big key items that I think are definitely on the table. Some of the things that have been discussed so far are minis, for sure, cars, and even the industrial update. Now, here's something I'd like to kind of put on the table. I think it would be nice if this, whatever this next update is coupled with something else. I think it would be awesome, whether it's this update or the next, to have parachutes paired with it, backpacks, and the hot air balloon, right? I think that would be a major win. Whether it's this update or the one at the end of the year for the quality of life, I think that would be awesome. Because let's be honest, hot air balloons are super slow. I mean, our horses are fast. This horse is faster than a hot air balloon by an order of magnitude. So it'd just be nice to get some verticality in the game, right? I think that's a nice side note to throw in there, because I think having extra slot space would be great. More backpacks, more slots, right? So I think that's awesome. So I just want to throw that in there. So hopefully that discussion happens enough where the devs are like, you know what, we could do that. Because I don't think it's enough on its own to be like a thing. But anyways, I digress. So I think minis on the table, cars are on the table, and the industrial update. I think all of them are very possible. So let me talk about this for a second. I think minis are definitely on the table. Here's why. They weren't at one point, but I think they are now and have been for quite some time. I think they've been working on a lot of updates at once, and I think whatever's going to give them the biggest win right now, and whatever's probably the most complete, right? The fact that we've got the performance now, we can see it when we're actually doing custom servers and you're the admin. Sorry, my brain shut down for a second. When you're doing the admin, we're definitely moving faster than a helicopter, so I think it's definitely possible. But I think the biggest thing that's telling us that it's going to happen, whether it's this update or the next or whenever, it's going to happen soon, is the fact that, remember that survey we had last year? Pretty much everything on that list has been checked off except two major items. Care to guess what it is? Minis and cars. Right? So I really, really think that's on the table. And they wouldn't put minis on there if they didn't think they could actually do it. So, you know, that's not a huge surprise. But we've also seen things like, well, let's be honest. To kind of rewind back to what we said earlier, we need verticality in the game. People doing like these crazy walls all the time, like 5 deep. We don't have a vertical option to jump in. We can't like make a tower and parachute in. We can't use a hot air balloon. We can't use minis. We have to use like twig towers, which is possible, but it just makes it some of the bases a bit more OP, as it were. Anyways. So yes, I definitely think minis are on the table. Whether or not they come in, who knows? But I still think like if it's not the secret update, minis are definitely going to be a huge win. Everybody wants them, and I think it's going to be something that they've worked on for quite some time. So like I said, I think it's going to be possibly this update or the next one. But I think cars is also on the table as well. We've seen many, many things with cars when the custom servers were out, right? The cars were on the custom server list, like the junkyard was an option. We've seen in previous videos that I've done, I'll go ahead and link it now in the upper right hand corner, the secret that we found deep inside of the underwater labs basically points to that. Ooh, is that a stash I saw back there? Hello. So yeah, I mean, we've seen so many different things that actually show that the cars are more than just a prefab somewhere, or like the parts are in the game. We've seen the actual like map show that it has junkyard in it, but we couldn't spawn it in at the time, so that means they're actively working on it, which is not a huge surprise. Cars are achievable. If we can do things like run around as high speed as an admin on a server, it's definitely doable. Like the fastest car does go fast on roads, but like, you know, we've got horses, we've got admin and custom servers, so we've seen it. It's definitely doable. So I think cars is on the table. I think obviously I want minis the most, but I think if anything, if they somehow can't like achieve the minis or whatever, I think cars is going to be the most likely. But that's not to say that the other big piece that could come in here, the industrial update, is definitely up for grabs. Is this decayed over here as well? Let's go check this for a second. Industrial update's going to come in relatively soon regardless, just because it has to. But I think if they can do something like cars or minis first, I think they're going to try to pull it off because it's going to be a massive win. The things that people are asking the most are definitely electric furnaces, so industrial update, or the or minis, right? And I hear cars occasionally, but I think the electric furnace is probably one of the bigger ticket items. But I know they're going to have to add some more items. They're going to have to make sure performance is good. there's just so many different pieces to the industrial update. But anyways, I think that's definitely on the table. But if we're going to go off that survey from last year, I think the two big ticket items that are definitely left are cars and minis. And I was a little shocked to see minis. Like, I knew they were working on it, but the fact that they put it on the list is kind of crazy, right? So I'm like, oh, they must be a lot further along than I thought, because there's no way they'd offer this up. But think about this. Like, I'm glad they put in new monuments and stuff, right? Military tunnels is great, but this, you heard me say this before. I was like, yes, they're great, but it's like, it's a win now, but you won't really go to them a whole lot. I think one of the bigger items is going to be something like minis or cars, because that's something that's going to affect you every wipe, whether you're using them or not. Military tunnels is just another option on the table. Now that it's been in the game for a minute, I think a lot of people are like, oh, you know, that's cool, but like, you know, I don't really go there that often. Most people are set in their ways. They'll do oil, they'll do launch site, you know what I mean? So it's like, it's cool to have it in the game, don't get me wrong, but I think a bigger win would have been something like furnaces, electric furnaces, or like cars. Do you know what I mean? So in the future, when we vote on these things, let's make sure that we're voting on stuff that's going to be more long-term, you know what I mean? I know, I'm excited about whatever it is. And honestly, like, if we get any of those, I'm going to be happy about it. Industrial Update's going to be so cool, I can go without minis again for like another round or two. I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that because I want minis so bad, but you get what I'm saying. Give me the backpacks. I mean, I said it before. I think it can be coupled with another update. I think backpacks, parachutes, and hot air balloons can be coupled with any of the updates that are left this year, don't you think? I could be down for that. DMV, I think you're right. He says, I feel like Double 11 wants us to think it's cars, but they're going to throw us a curveball. I hope they do. I hope they surprise us with minis. I'm with you, man. Oh, there it goes. I'm with you. That would be sick. I think minis are closer than we think. I hope it's part of the secret update. Dude, I'm going to lose my mind if it's minis, dude. In the best way possible. It's going to be so dope. People ask me all the time, what do you want in the game the most? 1,000% and 1,000 times over, it's going to be minis. Minis, minis, minis. It is such a core part of the game, I think, still to this day. And they've been in the game for a long time. I think minis is definitely something that would be massive. Now, like, the secret update could definitely include those things for sure. And I think you're right. I think they're going to pump fake us. Like, yes, they have a lot of work done on cars. Yes. We're going to get them relatively soon no matter what. Just because we've seen so many different things that point to, like, they've actively been testing it, but also, like, we've seen little clues inside of the game, which has been great. But I think you're right. I think they're telling us a secret update, and I think they're going to pump fake us. And I think minis are on the table. I would lose my mind, dude. That's all I want in the game. I'm telling you, when you guys get minis, everybody's base is going to change, right? Like, you're going to have a garage on top of your base for minis. You're going to change your base in such a way to defend yourself against minis, because there's such a big part of this thing, right? We were here on PC when it first came out, and it was a game changer, and it still is. Like, it's still in the game. It's still a big part of it. You feel like $1 million when you jack somebody's mini off the rooftop. You feel so good that you like, oh my goodness, my legs. You feel so good that you just stole 725 scrap worth of stuff off of somebody's base, and then you're flying away. You think about this. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, Zergs are going to be, you know, OP with that kind of stuff. Yes and no, but like, think about this. If you're a solo, you're like, man, I got a bunch of scrap I got to go take to the outpost. Go take it. Go fly it into the outpost. It just gives us that verticality, I think, that we're missing in the game. So yes, could the secret update have minis in it? Sure. You know, is industrial update also on the list? Yes. Are cars on the list? Yes. My personal belief is that they've got a lot of these different updates kind of worked on it at the same time, and I think they want to push in minis. I think, okay, so I think they said secret update for a couple reasons. I think because they didn't want to promise anything they couldn't deliver, because insert the electric update. That was a big one, where they underestimated it big time, for sure. But I think they're going to try to get it in there, and if they can achieve it, I think they're going to put it out. But I think if they can't, I think the next logical piece is going to be cars, for sure. We've seen car parts literally float up in the game, not just the prefabs, but the high quality ones you stick in vehicles, and apparently had a buoyancy value, so that was real. You know, that's in our version currently. It was a secret down in the labs. But it was cool because it's like a procedurally generated setup, right? So the fact that something didn't clear and one of the parts did spawn and floated to the surface is a dead giveaway. So yes, cars are on the horizon. Could it be part of the secret update? Yes. I think they're pushing for minis first because I think that's going to be a massive win. And I think if they can achieve it, I think it's going to fall back to cars.